that we are live. Yes, we are live.
Okay,
Awesome. Hey, Mariano, how are you feeling today?
nice. Let's see how it's going. We're gonna have a nice time trying and playing with the new VS Code extension. So something I'm very excited about it. So let's see how it goes, and I hope we have fun, a nice time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for those who don't know who Mariano is like the legend in DataWeave, the creator of DataWeave. So this is a big deal, people. How many years have you been working on DataWeave?
Data with 8 years, I think, when we started the first POC. It was So initially I started Data Mapper. That was the tool previously to DataWeave. Then the CEO at that time, Greg Schott, asked me and Emiliano Alessandro to throw that tool and start a new one. And then we started DataWeave, and he gave us 9 months to do the project. That's why DataWeave 1 was the first release was a little bit chaotic until we did a few releases and we stabilized it, but it was very fun, very interesting. So that was like 8 years ago, 8, 6, I don't remember.
So you both created DataWeave 1 in 9 months?
Yeah, that was the challenge. It was very interesting days. Let's say we work like from Monday to Sunday every day, but
Wow.
it was very, I don't know. For me, it was the best project I ever done in my life. Like in challenge, interesting, exciting. It had all the things. So I don't know. That's why I still do it. It's something I love to
Yeah,
do.
it's your baby.
Yes. And programming languages is something that is, I don't know, there is not every day's opportunity for you to create a new language. So for me, it was an opportunity of a lifetime. Like, go create something that other developers are going to use, and you can kind of influence every developer. Kind of, that's why there are so many programming languages in the world. I think every person has something that they likes or dislikes, and I don't know. That's why for me it was very challenging and fun. And then
Nice.
when Data 2 came, or the opportunity to recreate a new version, we tried to learn all or fix most of our mistakes in Data 1, and sadly we couldn't fix all, but some of them are fixed. And we evolved the language to be more general purpose, to be faster, bigger, better ecosystem. Uh, I don't know. That's the
Yeah.
idea.
I have a question for myself. Like when you created DataWeave 1, like you had when and else, or no, where was it? When and then, or something like that,
When
instead of if
unless,
else.
yeah,
Yes.
when and otherwise it was. Yeah. So the thing is, where do we took influence from, and we started taking that's so when you start a programming language, most probably you take parts from other languages that you like. And Emiliano, there was the other guy, who was a Ruby fan, and he saw some of those ways of writing Ruby, and that's why there was ease. And for instance, to check something was empty in data one, you put payload is empty, as empty being a trait. And when was something because he thought that it read better. Uh, then when Emiliano left the company, if he's seeing this Twitch, he will laugh. I started DataWeave 2 with Shoki. Shoki is another legend in DataWeave. Uh, so we decided to switch to if one because I started to feel that people like more when they came from like Java or other more standardized languages in our kind of mules of land. And if else was something that changed better and was easier to read. That's why we changed it. But it was those decisions that we didn't think that much, I think. Like one was, hey, he said, we can put this way and it reads better, no? Because you said this, when, that, otherwise. So in English, it reads better than the if. That's how you speak.
Yeah.
But in programming language, it doesn't change. It was very hard to change like different cases. So that's why we remove it and switch it to if else.
Yeah. We have a lot of comments. So, hi, Coco, the time we've waiting for. We have a lot of hi, hi, hi. Then we have developers. What a challenge. Well done. You're like superhero. Congrats, Mariano. You're a superhero.
I
Wow,
don't
what
know.
nice event. How big is the DataWeave team now?
Oh, now it's much bigger. It's like 8 people or 9, I think. I
Nine.
don't code as much as I used to, and so there are other people that code for me right now, or not for me, but for the team. Yeah, we used to be like, and it grow in the past 3 years or 2 years. We used to be two, then three for I don't know 6 years. Was Shoki and myself for Data with two, then Tomo joined, and then well, Anita, I know you know. I think you know Anita. Anita Fisati joined the team as the new manager, and she is the one that is responsible for making the team grow and building everything because she's awesome. So she took the the train, and now she built a great team of I think it's 8 developers. And we started taking more projects like the tooling for the VS Code plugin, the Exchange support, and we started to grow much faster because the market requires, and we weren't able to respond as fast and with the quality required. So that's why she deserves all the credits.
Nice. I wish we can have her
Yeah,
sometime.
sure.
All right, there are some changes and different behavior between DataWeave Playground and Transform Message Component in MuleSoft. What causes this issue?
There are two main reasons. One is that the playground runs in a single version of DataWeave. Okay, so it runs with 4.4 of Mule's Mule brand is 2.4 of DataWeave version. So the playground is a DataWeave runtime by itself. The server is just DataWeave. I think one day we will open source the playground, but with our own HTTP server and everything. Now the problem is that we try not to break background compatibility, but sometimes a bug requires some changes depending on what's the documentation. And there are other things that when data is running inside Mule, the Mule runtime, we behave differently because we depend on Mule runtime services. For instance, let me think. The streaming capabilities, how we handle big files, we delegate on Mule runtime when we are running inside Mule. When we run a standalone mode, we have our own implementation. They are quite similar, but their edge cases are different. There is something called raw. That is a way, for instance, DataWeave always parses data. So let's say in your event comes a JSON. The JSON is a JSON object with a name and last name. Let's put something simple. So when you treat that in the DataWeave code, that's an object. We call it an object type because DataWeave always handles data structures. Now, if you want the input stream because you want to calculate, for instance, a hash, SHA-256, you need to obtain that underlying stream. Then we have something called raw. That is, give me whatever is whatever, for instance, the payload is being represented by, and that's only works in Mule runtime. That's a feature we only have there, and there are a few cases like that. It shouldn't be the rule. Like most commonly, it will behave the same, but we have this kind of edge cases where it doesn't. That's why people use. If we look at the playground statistics, it's more like half of studio users use the playground, and we are trying to turn that curve in order to use the VS Code plugin. That's our goal.
Nice. And then if Mule Avengers exist, you will be Iron Man.
I don't know.
One question for Mariano. What do you think is still missing in DataWeave?
Oof. Depending on what. So we want to build DataWeave as an ecosystem. So we want to start being just a language. That's why we are pushing towards having an IDE, exchange support for adding libraries. I want to have more tools around it. Besides, so I think there are things that I like to grow in the language, but those are not for the day-to-day kind of use cases. There's always data formats that we're missing. I know people ask Parquet. I know some other people ask Protobuffer. We are working on some of those for future versions. But for me, or the thing that I like the most is when we start building an ecosystem, like having a way to test your mapping. So build a library for testing. That's what we have already done that, but I think we are missing more of those components, like a better reporting, code smells, things that you use in your day-to-day job to deliver great quality. And that's where I would like to go. To have a huge ecosystem. So more libraries, so people don't need to go to Java. I hate when people say, "Oh, I need to import the Java library," and we don't have it. Those are the things that I would like to have, especially because, as it was also said, we are gonna be running in other parts of the Salesforce ecosystem. So we are gonna be running inside Apex, inside Mule. We also run in Anypoint monitoring, and my idea is to keep on growing on different parts. So having a bigger ecosystem will help us to engage with other teams and grow, and people be able to reuse the same logic in different Salesforce clouds.
All right. Awesome. Then I will just show this one last question so we can start doing some code and then we can come back to the questions.
Sure.
What is a further evolution of of DataWeave? What to expect new?
Can you help me? What do you mean by further evolution?
Like, what is the next step, I guess, that's going to happen?
Next step, we are putting a lot of effort in the tooling, in the VS Code plugin, and Salesforce, I think it's already announced. I don't know, but I think, yes, it was announced. So Salesforce, MuleSoft is gonna release the Anypoint Code Builder sometime, and we are working very hard with that team in order to have a nice integrated experience. And then some data formats, Protobuf, I cannot promise, but it's on the way. What else are we working on? Let me think. I just so we've already done a lot of stuff. I don't remember what is already in 2.4 and 2.5. We are adding more functions. Yeah, mainly it's gonna be around tooling. We are gonna put a lot of effort in tooling now. Have a better integration with testing. We are working much more on other kind of satellite projects than in DataWeave Core right now, except for some data formats. Oh, I remember one. We are gonna add, for instance, JSON schema support, so that if you have JSON schema, you will be able to import a JSON schema and then, for instance, use it as a type system in your database. So like import JSON, the way we import Java, you're gonna be able to import JSON schema. So if you have JSON schema that represents your data structure, you will go to check, to pattern match, to use it for your mapping development in DataWeave.
Nice. That
Yeah.
sounds great. Alrighty. So keep the questions coming. We are just going to get started on the screen so you can actually see some code.
Okay. So the idea is just code together and show you a few kind of flows that I use in terms of what steps do I use every day. I use this planner every day for answering if it's put in Stack Overflow in any chat. Sometimes I answer in those forums, and I did a promise to stop using the playground and start using VS Code just to detect bugs, to leave the product, as I said, to play with it and try to improve it. So the idea is to, I don't know, start playing with it and show a few tools that we have, and then get your feedback and help us improve. So this is, I think it was already shown how to create a project in previous video. I know Alex has already shown several times this, and there are awesome videos out there. So go and see it if you haven't. So we will start with a new project. This is how you have like what we call the playground mode, the playground view. You can go and click here, and it will show you that. You can go here and click. Then if you want live, like real playground, you can go right click and say enable auto preview. This will, no need to go and click every time. The idea is it depends. Sometimes you want to do it when you have big, for instance, big sample data or big scripts. You don't want the enable auto preview to always execute it because it takes time. So that's why we have the two ways of doing it. Okay. So let me put payload. Now it says there's no variable set payload, it's failing because we don't have sample data. So in here, we have two options to define sample data, and I will show it. One is the ones that we know. We click on the code lens. It did, so I click in this one. It automatically create me some sample data. And now, based on this, I will have auto completion. No, this is kind of basic behavior. You can click in the variable, and it will navigate to the sample data. This is something that is easy for you to navigate and edit it. Now that we have this, I will put some nicer example. I have here an example of a user with a family. It's like a family tree representation, very basic, simple. Okay. Now it's saying that message was not found. Let's look at it. Now we see it. Now, what I do the most is I like to work with types. I'm a type fan. And what we build is a way for people to embrace types and help you start with types. So a way to is if you click to show the options in my communities command enter, it will add type annotation. If you click in here, it will automatically infer the type of your sample data. Okay, this is this huge line that we see here. So this way we not only have types, but we have a sample data. Now what we can do is we can mark it, everything's selected. Let me collapse this so we can see more. Okay, it's huge type because it was a huge data and it was inferred. What I want to do is we want to refine it. So now what we can do is go here and set extract to global scope. In this case, local variant global scope is going to be the same. We will see later there's a few difference between these two global scope. What this does is we'll create a type, put a name in the type. That is here is going to use the name of the input in order to infer a name of the type. And extract the type here. We can rename it. Here I have a different combination. I used to be an IntelliJ user. That's why I have my IntelliJ key bindings. But if not, you can press F2 and it will will do the same actions. And we can use user type. So what is happening here, it remains all my reference to this type with a new name. Now I can see this, we can go into the data and we can analyze a little more. What we have is a name, a status, if it has children or not, and the same, it's a recursive data structure. So when we infer, it doesn't have, it's not smart enough to detect that it's a recursive data structure, so it will expand everything. So what we can do is can go here and replace it with user type. It will suggest me user type. And now I have it all there. Okay? This is one flow that you can use in order to set up your types and your example. Another way is, let's go back. So on the left panel, you will have something called DataWeave scenarios, something that we can discuss later, but it basically will show all the sample data that you have for this mapping. What we will do is we're going to remove it. Now it fails again. Now the find sample data will reappear because we don't have sample data attached. But now if we click it, what will happen is that we will use this data structure that you have here in order to create a sample data that matches this data structure. Now, some of the fields we try to infer good values. Some others we cannot, like status. It do mean this has no sense. But for instance, for name, or if we put last name, let's do something interesting. Let's put last name here. Okay, we will delete it again, and we put it, and we click on define. Now it will put a last name with capitalized correctly and all that. So this is another way to start your project. No, you can start by defining your sample data, defining your type, and then create the sample data, and it will try to guide you on how to create. Or you can start from the other way around. Like I have sample data, and I want to infer my types. Okay, now let's paste the example data I have. That last name is optional. This is a way to specify the last name, maybe or maybe not present. Okay, this is if you don't remember this, we need to go to. And for instance, another thing that we can tune is that status, it can be either single or married. So we can also tune here this and married for something. I broke it. Somehow I broke it. Oh.
Something has to go wrong in the demos all the
Yes,
time.
always. Demo gods. Something is broken. Can we remove this? Let's see. I might have a way to restart the plugin. Let me see. I will restart the plugin. Okay. So this was here and children array of user type. We're back. Okay, so this is how you started from either way. Now the other way, sorry, is you can navigate and see. Now, for instance, let's enable auto preview, and we can say name. Okay. Now we can also extract variable. That's something I do a lot. Is that you can select something and say extract variable. Okay, this will create a variable trying to infer the best name based on whatever you have been selected, or you can go and put my name, for instance, and rename it to whatever you want. Now, let's imagine you are in an if-else statement. If, I don't know, true something, and we can put payload. else. Only equals on the payload dot name. Okay, so here we can extract the variable. Also, and we'll extract it to the correct place. But we can do, for instance, a do statement. And if we create extract to local scope, so local scope will be do statement defines a local scope into here, okay, into this section. So whatever we declare is only going to be seen in this part. Global scope is something that's going to be seen in all the mapping, okay? So if I do extract to local scope, this means that the variable is only going to see inside the if branch. If we do global scope, it's going to be seen for the entire mapping. For instance, so let's do the local scope, and you see, let me refactor. So another thing that we have introduced is formatting. Okay, that you can do always. And press F1 if you don't know, format document, and it will format it. It tries to respect as much as possible whatever layout the user has done. It only tries to indent everything. But if you have everything as a one-liner or multi-lines, it won't break your mapping. I hate when formatters are too intrusive. So this formatter is the less intrusive as possible. It tries to, the only thing it tries to do is tries to indent correctly so you can read it. But if you have, for instance, an object that you want to put in one liner, it won't break it into too many lines. It will keep it as one liner and put spaces so it's readable. If you have into multiple lines, it will try to indent from the left to right so it respects the data structure. And and here only my bar is going to be is local. Now if we want to see it everywhere, you can do the same thing and do global scope. Now my bar is global, no? And I can do here my bar too because I want to use it. No? And then we can remove the do statement. And here is a it put me everything in yellow, no? And we can see what's going on. It says using if expression different than null, it can be replaced with default. So now it's trying to guide me to better code practices. And you can do replace with default expression, and it will simplify my expression to something much better. And I can go back to payload.name here as it's a variable that's only being reference one. And you see how it guides me through a much better kind of experience. We have some of these tools. For instance, we have size of, one is size of. This one helps me a lot because I always do this. For instance, hello equals 0 to check something's empty. It's empty. It will say, okay, this can be replaced with is empty code, and it will try to help me. We are adding more these code smells, especially we figure out when people paste codes in our ecosystem somewhere, and we say, oh, look, people are using this anti-pattern or this way, and we take that, open a ticket saying we should suggest people to stop using this pattern, and we try people towards using best practices. That's kind of the idea. Where was I? Okay, so we were in the payload.name. Now we'll say, okay, let's change the data here. Let's imagine that Peter is lowercase, Mariano is lowercase, and some of them are lowercase and some of them are uppercase. Okay, I would say, okay, no, Peter is lowercase. We want to make it correct. Now we want to make that the names are always capitalized or capitalized. No, and okay, what we can do is say, okay, we are going to create a function for this. What you can do is there's an option called extract function. Here I have it mapped to this one. What it's going to ask me is the name of the function. Let's put to better name. Now we say, okay, I want to, instead of having the vision the payload, I want to say, okay, I want the user. No, the user It's a user type. And I want to use this user. Oh, now here it's missing. One thing is that you can see the parameters hinting. If you click Command P, it will highlight where the parameters are using. Let's put another one. Let's imagine here is going to be the name, string. And also it's going to be the last name. Oh, now we have two parameters. It will highlight me not only the parameters, but the one I'm currently need to fill in. For instance, is name. No, so as its name is missing, and I click P, DataWeave is going to look for any selection that already provides a field that matches with the one, and it's going to guide based on the name of the selection. So as you see here, DataWeave will automatically suggest payload.name. Why is that? Because I'm trying to fill in the name parameter. If I go to the other one, it will suggest me payload.lastName automatically. Now, we said that payload last name can be null. So it's saying he's expecting a string, and you are putting something that is not. So we have two options here. It will suggest me a quick fix saying insert default expression. Why? Because when it's null, I want it to have a default value. No? This is a way to fix it. Now, it will automatically insert me this, and it put it an empty text. This was clear. So here we have an error saying last name it's optional. This means that when I select, when it's not present, the result of this is going to be null. No? So it's going to break it because this expects string, and DataWeave null is not assignable to string. So it's throwing me a compilation error. But it's a compilation error that we can guide the user with a quick fix. And it says one of the quick fixes, insert default expression. With default expression, this means that when this is null, it's going to evaluate to this one. Now, we have this. The only thing that is missing is to implement the body. So let's do something. So a way to implement the capitalize is you can go take the first, do an upper, concatenate the other part. No, name is going to be 1, 2, -1. So now we see Peter correctly capitalized, but we haven't done anything with last name. But we can say, we can do the same thing for last name. No, last name, we take 0. And last name. Go. We can put a space here to capitalize it better. Now we have repeated code, no? Like this part is the same as this. What we can do is, again, extract a function with the same shortcut and do capitalize, for instance. And then we can do the same capitalize for last name. I broke it. Name, last name. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this is the way that I try to code, like evolving my code from something basic to something that is more reusable. Now we can always do the renaming if we don't like capitalize 1, 2, 3, or whatever naming, or to valid name or whatever. It's also something like naming, something I struggle a lot. I do a lot of renaming because putting a good name is, for me, it's very important. So I try to do it. And this tool allows me to rename here, and will rename all the parts that are being referenced, and helps me with that. So then we can think, okay, this toValid name looks like a function that I want to be reused. No, I want to use it in several parts. One thing that you can do is you can copy it, and I want to create a module. So, for instance, my module, my simple module, I don't know, whatever. And I can paste my function here. Now, what's going to happen? It says, okay, I no longer find this function. Then this is something that I like a lot, is you click it and it will suggest, do you want to import it from the simple module? And it will automatically find out the valid name, import it for you, and everything keeps working again. You can always navigate to this function that you have created. You can create documentation, and I put this function transforms the text to a valid name capitalized. I don't know. Yeah, capitalized. We always try, this is how we document our functions in DataWeave, and I will show you this in a few minutes. We try to put examples. So here we can put, I know, using our function, copy, what's, I don't know, to valid name, Peter, and this is the output. So we think that good examples in your documentation helps more sometimes than good writing. Is users try to copy paste a lot, and when you see examples of different cases, how it behaves, for me, at least for me, it's very useful. But as we go here, you will see automatically see all the examples with code highlighting in your examples. So I ask people, if you create your libraries, let's put this into valid JSON. This, you see, highlighted also in Peter. Please, you put examples. It will help not only you, but also the consumers of your functions to be able to consume. This also is going to generate better pages in Exchange, for it's easier for people to find the functions and understand it. Another thing that is quite good is you can go here and find references. And it will show you everywhere that where your function is being used in all the projects. This is quite interesting, but it also work with, for instance, let's use, this is upper, no? The upper function. You cannot only see the documentation, but you can navigate to the code, and you can see how we, the DataWeave team, implemented some of the functions. When you see native, this means that it's implemented in a native way. For sometimes it's for performance, sometimes it's for historical reasons. But you can always go here and see file all references. Here, upper is being used only in this case. But let's say you use it in more, let's put, I don't know, upper here. And you see the other. And this is, so it not only works for your modules that you have in your project, it works for other modules that you have imported and using. This is very useful, especially when you are trying to do big refactors, that you want to see the impact of what you're changing. Using this find reference allows you to kind of impact checking on how much you're going to break if you change the signature of a function or if you change the behavior. It's very useful. Questions? I've been speaking too fast and a lot.
There is a question. How will the packages added to POM XML can be accessed in DataWeave, and how will they be packaged?
So you depend on a DataWeave library in your POM. This is a Maven dependency. Here you will add whatever DataWeave library you want to use. And they are being packaged as jars, normal jars. So there is no magic around it. We put jars in Exchange, or if you want to use a private Nexus repository, you can use it. We don't encourage people because Exchange not only provides the repository, but also the portals, the findings. We are going to release an integration with Studio, the Anypoint Studio that we have, that is easier for you to find, and it will automatically, the same way you search for APIs and other stuff. So using Exchange will give you much value, but if, let's say, for some reasons you cannot use Exchange, you can use your Nexus, any Nexus repository, Maven compatible repository, publish your DataWeave libraries in there and consume it as any jar or any artifact in Maven.
Nice. Thank you. And there's also an earlier message. I don't know if you know. It says, "Hey Mariano, if you remember, I was unable to start the agent and also DataWeave plugin wasn't working as expected. Solution for that is to use the 020 of DataWeave Maven plugin. And
Yes,
for the issues, yeah, you got it."
we fixed that this week. There was a problem where we released the 0.3 data we plugin. Now it's already in the public repo. We are very sorry for that mistake. It won't happen again. We are still in the process of automating all the tooling. As we have created multiple tools and ecosystem, it got very big, and we are in a stage where we are trying to kind of automate the entire process of releasing everything together. We missed this plugin in the pipeline, and we fix it, and we fix the automation process also, so it won't happen again in the next release. But yeah, we are very sorry for that.
Alrighty. Thanks for all the cool features. Now developing with DataWeave will feel more robust.
We are trying to get that one and also help you. So we always encourage types. So type inference. So using the uh, type annotation is something that I encourage people to use. It's also worth, for instance, for, let's say here I can put add the type, and it will add me automatically the output type. So types are not longer something that is hard to add. We will help you. We don't require. You can still use no types, and we will try to help you with that. But if you use functions and you are going to export it into Exchange, we encourage very hard, strongly to use it, because it not only helps the consumers with documentation, but also help us with the using the kind of guiding the consumer towards that function is much better, much easier if you have types. That's why please use the types if you are going to use libraries, we want to create libraries. That's why we try to create tools that helps you and don't make adding types something that's painful. For instance, the other day I was playing with Battlesnake. I tried to implement my Battlesnake, and I think I have it here.
Did you make it
Battlesnake,
work?
yes.
Nice.
Save all. And I create my type of all the entire thing using this same behavior. I paste the JSON example, and let me see, what is it? Battlesnake types. And I create the entire type of the Battlesnake just by using the same technique I show you. I pasted the JSON example, and I extract it, and I start refactoring till I have something that is playable, and it helped me then autocomplete and go through all my Battlesnake. But just for follow-up, let me reopen it.
There's another comment for you.
Yeah.
Recontra la moda. I don't know what that means.
The contramodels means it's very fashion.
Oh, okay. Cool. Is that like Argentinian slang?
I don't know if this. I don't know, Luis. But yes, it's like Argentinian slang.
Nice,
Yeah.
because I haven't heard about that, and I'm from
Yeah.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Every time people think that we all speak same Spanish, but every time you visit different South American countries, you need to go with your own kind of slang dictionary, because we.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, custom DataWeave asset, which I published onto Exchange. I couldn't refer directly from Anypoint Studio. I had to download the dependency and install it as a local dependency.
No, you should be able to reference it directly. Maybe you haven't specified the asset type. You need to put DataWeave library in the packaging. maybe that was all it was missing, but you should be able to do it straightforward, no need for doing anything. And in the next version of Studio, it's going to be done through a UI, so no need to go and change the POM anymore. It's going to be, that's why we have been working on that, because it is going to be the step that closest in the experience, where you can code your libraries in VS Code and use it in Studio to develop your new flows.
Nice. And then the recording will be available in the Twitch channel. So if you go to twitch.tv/MuleSoft_community, there you will find the recording, and all of the recordings, actually, all of the live streams will be there. So you can go there. That's it.
Also, one thing that I haven't mentioned is the unit testing part. If you have a few minutes, we can go through it.
Yeah, sure.
So the testing part is something also new. We have developed our own testing framework. And this testing framework has been written entirely in DataWeave. There is no Java code, there is no nothing. It's all the functions, everything is DataWeave. So, and if you don't believe me, you can click here and you can see all the DataWeave code that we use it to create the testing framework. All the assertions, everything is DataWeave. So what is the good part about it is that if you don't like some assertion or you want to create your own, you can copy it, fork it, create your model that extends from our testing framework and extend it as much as you want. If you click in this code action, it will bootstrap everything for you. So in here, it creates me kind of all the skeleton of my simple module to valid name. Let's put something now here, Peter, must. And we can check that must be string, no? It must be string. And you can run it. And now I'm playing with fire. And it passed. Let's make it fail. Be an object. Be object.
So
And it failed.
just to continue the conversation about before, Luis is Mexican, but he loves Argentinian culture.
You see. So in here it says expecting object, but it was a string. And it not only it will point out the line that fails, it will try to guide me what is wrong, and then we can go and either see if my test is wrong or my code is wrong. You can also debug. Let's put a breakpoint. We can run it. And it didn't stop. Why? Put in different line.
There's a question from Journey. Can you use the testing framework without booting up the entire Mule runtime?
Yeah, this doesn't use the Mule runtime. This uses data with standalone. Somehow it's not breaking. Okay. Debugger system. I don't know if I need to. Oh, debug test. I think I need to run it in debug mode. Let me see. Oh, here it is. I was running it instead of debugging it. In here, I can, as any debugger, I can see if I have any variables. I have the function call. I can go step by step. Here, it shows me that the result to valid name was Peter, all capitalized. I can click next step. It will assert and it continues. And it will fail again, no? But I was able to go step by step. Not only step by step, but our debugger, what it does is detect there is a function call. Something that it was very challenging for us is how to implement a debugger in a functional language. Debuggers are designed to be working for statements, because in a procedural language you have lines. Each line represents like a statement, and you want to see each statement how it works. In functional language, what you do mostly is you change functions, and so you want to kind of see how the function inputs and outputs, so you can understand all the steps of the change. And those changes are not in different lines or are not in different statements, because we don't have statements. So that's why DataWeave debugger, every time it detects a function call, it will stop before and after the function, showing you what's the result of that function. And in this case, it shows me, for instance, let's put here, must be Peter. No? We expect this to be Peter like this. Must. Let's say this dollar equals Peter. So let me, I think I need to, this one. Let me stop it. Debug. Let me show this. I think this is very important if you like debugging. So if you do the debug section, what it's stopping right now is in here, into value name. It still haven't been evaluated. Now, if you click next step, you see that to value name, the result was Peter all uppercase. It's still that's why it's not very easy to highlight, but what is being highlighted. It's not going to be seen because it's very kind of, we need to put better coloring. But what is being highlighted is the entire function call, okay, to value name Peter. And the result was Peter all uppercase. And why is that? Because we have broken it when we put all uppercase here too. But now we can say this test should fail. Now it's going to evaluate this, the equal, and it's going to fail. Now we can go and say, okay, this test is correct. Let's fix the test. Now we can rerun it. But this is a kind of a nice way to see how to debug, what the debugger does, and now it's also correct.
Sweet. There's another question. Is there a way to use libraries built using DataWeave in Mule XML SDK or Mule Java SDK?
Yeah, any libraries can be used inside any component of Mule. Like, depend on it, and if you use Java SDK, then you need to take care of the resources as any other library. But yes, we use it in some of the connectors that we have. We use internally DataWeave libraries, so it can be used.
Awesome. Are there any more questions? I don't think so far. I think this is so cool that now we have, is there a name for this? Kind of like MUnit?
Yeah, we are having documentation. So, for instance, these assertions that you want here, B string, here you can put all the assertions that you want. No, you can check. You can put B string, and I don't know, something else. And you can do upper dollar equals to period. I don't know. You can put all the assertions you want. But for instance, B string is also used inside MUnit. It's the same assertion library that we use in MUnit. So initially, when we started, we built the assertion library for MUnit. And then we said, why can't we also build, with the same assertions library, a testing framework for DataWeave libraries? That's how it was the evolution. First, we built the assertion library for MUnit, for the new MUnit, I don't know the name of the component, that allows you to write DataWeave code with assertions. And that was kind of a work we did together with the MUnit team. Then we said, okay, we are only missing the engine part in order to be able to have our own testing framework. Why can't we do it? And we did it, and the challenge was, can we write it everything DataWeave? And that was a huge challenge for us, because then you can go and see the code. It's a huge amount of DataWeave code with lambdas and stuff. that is not that easy to read, but it was very interesting and fun.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Also, the documentation, because now there's a standard kind of to create your own documentation for all the functions, which is great.
Yes, we have standardized that using the help of what all the MuleSoft standards for documentation. That's why we use ASCII uh, but the way we use it is we use a subset of ASCII and then we have a tool that translates ASCII into Markdown. So when you build it, not only you have the ASCII documentation, but you have the Markdown documentation representation. So you can upload it, for instance, to GitHub or whatever other engine that supports Markdown.
Okay. I don't think I had heard about ASCII Doc before. That's nice.
ASCII is the tools. It's a much bigger superset of Markdown. It's kind of Salesforce documentation team uses ASCII. I don't know if something internal I should say, but we'll see later. Has a much broader set of tools and things that allows you to customize a lot your documentation. That's why we started using, because our entire documentation was written in there and we migrated to embed it into our code. And that's so, but we also know that a lot of our other tools like GitHub and others uses ASCII document to render documentation. That's why we started creating these tools that allows you to translate that, and people can upload it to whatever site they want, and they will be able to be compatible with those requirements.
Nice. Alrighty. Are there any more questions? We still have 4 minutes. By the way, where can people ask you questions? You mentioned that you monitored some forums or something.
Yeah, Stack Overflow was something we monitor all the time. We have an integration that is being built into Stack Overflow and Slack. MuleSoft integration, we wrote it. So we have an intern, and they asked was write an integration between Stack Overflow and Slack. So every time you ask a question in Stack Overflow, a message is being sent to Slack, and
Nice.
then yeah, I cannot show it because there are a lot of internal stuff. But yes.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. So, like, you can just create something in Stack Overflow. Do you use a tag or something?
Yes, they use the data tag, and then it will automatically pop up
Oh, that's so
in
cool.
our Slack channel. And I can invite you to this DataWeave Stack Overflow
Yeah, that would
for
be
any
awesome.
for any. I think it's open for any Salesforce obviously
All
employee.
right. I will join definitely.
Yeah.
There's another question. Can you change the variable value while you are debugging?
No, you cannot. DataWeave is a functional language, and mutating state, if we allow that, it will break our entire engine. We do a lot of optimizations based on that. Uh, we can have another session of what kind of optimizations. It's going to be a much more low level talk. But we do a lot of optimization based on that. Uh, so if we allow that in the while debugging, we will break the entire execution.
All right.
Yeah.
And Vinay, I think we already talked about this. That you cannot publish onto Exchange, even though your credentials were in place. But yes, like you should be able to do this.
Yeah. You should be able, if not, you can open a ticket or ask in Stack Overflow with more details. We will happily help you. But yeah, no need to start. You can consume it directly from Exchange. Don't need to do anything. And again, in next release, we're going to have a UI. So also no need to go and change your POM and all that stuff. That is very painful.
Yeah, we also have a tutorial where you can check that out. So if you go to developer.mulesoft.com, where do I have that? Oh, here. Developer.mulesoft.com, you can go to the tutorials. If you click on the start your journey or something like that, the only button at the top, you can get to the tutorials, and then you will see the DataWeave part, and you will see there how to use DataWeave from Exchange. So you can also follow that tutorial. What are the main extensions in VS Code that should be added to use
Data with
doing DW
data.
in VS Code?
No, you can only start install the DataWeave plugin and it will work. You don't need to add anything else. Then the rest is up to you how you like to customize your IDE. I do have other plugins, but that's my preferred choice. For instance, the one that I said I use IntelliJ key bindings. I have quite a vanilla installation. I don't like to have a lot of plugins popping up everywhere, but it's up to every developer to decide their own set. But for running and doing all the things that I've shown, only the DataWeave plugin is more than enough. No, I haven't shown anything that is not in the DataWeave plugin.
Yeah, and there is a link. I just put it. So if you want to go to the link and check that tutorial, you will see how to install the DataWeave extension. It's just one click. And then you can also go there to see the other DataWeave tutorial about using the Exchange libraries. So cool. Is there something else you want to mention, Mariano?
No, I was thinking this morning while preparing this demo that we also need to talk about sometime about our command line. Part of creating an ecosystem, we have released an open source command line to use DataWeave. So one interesting story is that a lot of my peers used JQ, and I was very frustrated by people using JQ in their day-to-day life for doing IT stuff, no setting up. So why do you use JQ when we have DataWeave? Because JQ has a command line and DataWeave doesn't. Then I created the command line, a native command line, just to force everybody to use DataWeave. And I think it's getting better and better. It's open source. It's not part of our portfolio. It's more about using for IT, but it's also a very nice way to play with DataWeave, to learn it. I use it a lot. I have a lot of scripts that I use in DataWeave every day. For instance, to do, I don't know, analysis of what are for instance, I get MuleApps and I analyze what are they using, what are the most common components that are being used. Or the other day, I was talking with pre-sales of Mule, so he was using the command line to detect if there were policies applied or not. And so it has many use cases and many usages. I think it's very interesting if someday we can do something similar to this with the command line and see if we can get feedback. The idea of what I tried when I do this kind of thing is to get feedback. So the VS Code plugin has an open repo. It doesn't have the code, but it's the repo we use for the community to report tickets and to have discussions with the developers, so the data team. So if you have any issue, open a ticket. I think it's in the documentation of the extension. Let me see here somewhere. I think it's at the bottom. Get started, programming language. Somewhere is it? Repository, use think. Documentation, share and reuse. Here, public repository. So in here you can open tickets or anything you are suffering. Go here; it will help us also get your feedback. So please, I encourage you, everybody that sees this video, to do it. That's kind of the main goal of this. Going and talking to people is to understand us and to help us to build a better product. No?
Yeah, definitely. Like we help each other. If
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get a better language, we can build a better language for you. So yes. Alrighty. So thank you so much, Mariano. I hope I can see you in another
Sure,
stream.
a pleasure. So please, you can pick me whenever you want. Also, everybody that wants to be a part of the community. I saw Shermy was there. She's also a great contributor. So thank you, everybody. And okay, I see you another day.
Alrighty. See you all. Bye.
Bye bye.